Hello, and welcome to the mSeven video series. In this video, we'll be covering the sync process between an iOS device and a Mac computer. An iOS device is an iPhone, an iPod Touch, or an iPad. The sync process for either of these devices is the same, so for this video, I'll be showing this process on an iPhone. We do offer other videos, so if this doesn't describe what you're trying to do, please check out our other videos at www.msevensoftware.com/videos. So in this video, we'll be covering the basic sync process, as well as talking about a few things that can cause problems along the way. However, this is not meant as a troubleshooting guide. We do offer some troubleshooting videos, but of course, you are always welcome to contact us for any help or assistance that you require. This video covers the basic configuration steps needed to sync an iOS device with a Mac computer. So first off, before we begin, it's always a good idea to have your software up to date and a current backup of your data. If you need assistance with either of these things, please see the appropriate videos or feel free to contact us. Okay, assuming we have the most current versions of mSecure and a backup of our data, we're ready to begin. The sync process that we have developed has been created to allow you to sync your data from your mobile device, such as your iPhone, with your computer. Apple, however, has limited our ability to utilize the USB sync process, so we have had to build our own Wi-Fi sync process instead. So first things first. We need to make sure that our computer and phone are on the same Wi-Fi network. We understand, though, that occasionally computers don't have a Wi-Fi card and must be hardwired into the network. In this case, as long as the iPhone has a Wi-Fi connection and both devices are on the same network, the sync should still work. So if your phone and computer can connect on the same Wi-Fi network, we are ready to continue the process. However, if your computer does have to hardwire into the network, I want to go over a few requirements, and I can briefly explain why this is important. So, a cable or DSL modem can connect you to the internet. This device works by creating a network in your home and then allowing computers on that network to access the internet. Sometimes these devices also provide your wireless network. However, other times you have to buy and install something different so that you can get Wi-Fi inside of your home because the DSL or cable modem doesn't provide this feature automatically. The main thing we need to worry about, though, is whatever device you use to give your house Wi-Fi access is the same device that you use to hardwire your computer into. Here's a photo of the front of a typical Wi-Fi router. Here's a photo of a back of another Wi-Fi router. You will notice that this has a couple of network ports on the back. We need to make sure that if we're going to use a hardwired connection on our computer, that it is plugged into one of these ports on the Wi-Fi router. If your Wi-Fi router does not have these ports, or if your computer has to plug into a different device, we don't need to change this now. But we do need to make a note of it. That way, if there are sync problems down the road, we have something that we can come back to and look at. Okay, so at this time, I would like to take another moment to highlight another possible issue that prevents our software from being able to sync. We have seen two pieces of software cause our sync process to have issues: firewall and antivirus software. Now, there are many flavors of antivirus software, so we won't get into that, but I can show you how to check your Mac firewall settings. So on our desktop, we're going to go to the top of the screen and click on our Apple menu. Then we're going to go down to System Preferences, and when that comes up, we're going to go along the first row and click on the Security icon. Now, we're going to go to the Firewall tab and check and see if our firewall is off or on. In my case, it's off. If this is what it shows for you, then you don't need to configure your firewall as it's not turned on. However, if it is turned on, we're going to want to configure mSecure to allow it to use the connections through the firewall for the sync process. So I'm going to start mine, and I'm going to go to Advanced. Now, if for some reason the Advanced button is grayed out and your firewall is turned on, you might have to click the lock button here and type in your password to unlock the settings. So I'm going to click on Advanced, and now you'll see a list of different either Apple services or applications that have been okayed to be able to be used through the firewall. You'll notice the Dropbox service here has allow incoming connection set for it. Another option would be block. So we don't want that, obviously. And what we want to do, though, is add mSecure into this list so that the mSecure application can pass through the firewall without the firewall trying to block its connection. To do this, we're going to press the plus button. Then under Applications, we're going to scroll down to mSecure, add an mSecure, and of course it defaults to allow incoming connections. We're going to press OK, and now we have this set up with our firewall to allow mSecure to pass through our firewall. Okay, so assuming we are on the same Wi-Fi network, or cabled up correctly, firewalls and antivirus software is all set, the next requirement is that the computer version of mSecure and the iPhone version of mSecure have the same master password set. When you first open mSecure on your computer, it will ask you to set a password. If you have already opened the program and set a password that doesn't match your phone, you can always go back in and change that password. To do this, we're going to start up mSecure, enter the current password, and now go to the File menu and choose Change Password. Now we can enter the old password, and now we're going to enter the password on the phone. Now notice in my case, I have a very short password. This is for demo purposes. Your password should be a very strong and secure password. Okay, so press OK. And now the password in mSecure and on our phone is the same. Okay, now that we have the passwords the same, the last thing we need to check is the port settings within mSecure. Occasionally this can get set to the wrong setting, and we just want to verify this before we try the first sync. So we're going to go up to the mSecure menu and go to Preferences. Now in here I also want to highlight one other feature, and that's the automatic update feature. This is highly recommended as it goes out and looks for the latest version of mSecure when you start up your program. Okay, so your port settings here are either dynamic or static, and what we want to do is we want to make sure that we use the dynamic setting. This dynamic setting allows us to use Apple's Bonjour networking to automatically connect your desktop to your phone. If there are changes to your network, such as your IP address changing, Bonjour automatically goes out and updates the systems so that they can still connect. So once we've verified that the dynamic port is set, or we have set it to dynamic, we're now ready to click OK and begin the sync. Now one thing I do want to mention as well is a common mistake is to leave the preferences window open, or maybe even the password window open. Any sort of open window will cause an error in the sync process. Even an edit window open for a particular record. So we just need to have the application open sitting at the main view like it is now in order to start that sync process. Now, I don't have any records in this database, so what I want to do is go ahead and create a dummy record here. And what this will show is it'll show the merge process as we merge the data from the desktop application with the iPhone application. So I'm going to come in here and click on Add Item, and I'm going to pick birthday, and we're going to make a birthday for John Doe, January 1st, 2011. So he was just born. Click OK. And now we have a dummy record in here that we can use to sync with the iPhone to see how it merges the data. Okay, so now that we have a record in mSecure on the desktop, we're ready to start the sync with the phone. So on the phone, we're going to open up mSecure and put in our password. Now I notice here, again, this is a demo, so I don't have any records. So I'm going to go ahead and add one so we can see that merge process. And I'm going to go ahead and do a calling card. Call AT&T. Do 800 as the access number. And I'm going to do a PIN number. Okay, so now I have a record on the phone and a record on the desktop, and so now we can do the sync. So what we're going to do is go down to the bottom and tap on the eye, and now we're going to use the Sync with Desktop option from the menu. Now you notice when this comes up, there's an option in here saying mSecure running on, and then in my case it says Mac Pro. This is the name of my computer. If our computer was named John Doe, it'd say mSecure running on John Doe. Now I want to take a moment here to highlight what it would look like if there was a manually created entry in here instead of this automatically generated one. So to do this, I'm going to create a manual entry. You don't need to do this. This is just for an example. So I'm going to call this mSecure running on Mac Pro. give it a dummy IP address, and hit save. Now I named these the same on purpose, just so we can see even if they are named the same. This little blue icon indicates that this was a manually created entry, and we can tap on this to get in here, delete it, or change anything we need to in here. So if we're using dynamic setting on the desktop, which we should be, we want to make sure we're using the automatically generated entry in here. And this comes from our Bonjour networking. Occasionally, we will have you use the manual setting depending on if we're having network issues. And then we'd come in here and create a manual entry. But most often, you're just going to use the automatic created entry in here. And again, this is the one without the blue arrow. So in our case, we're going to go ahead and click on this. And then it's going to say, hey, you're going to sync. Are you sure you want to sync to Mac Pro? And then it tells us to make sure the passwords match. So we know that yes, we want to sync with Mac Pro, and yes, our passwords match. So we're going to click on continue. Now, this is an iPhone simulator, so this is going to go really fast. On your phone, depending on how many records you have and your connection, it may take a little bit longer. So it'll say sync was successfully completed. I tap OK, and then done. And now we see both AT&T and John Doe on the phone, and AT&T and John Doe on the desktop. So this merged our data from our phone to our computer. So this is our basic sync process to sync your phone to your computer. This process is exactly the same for the iPhone, the iPod Touch, and the iPad. This sync process can even be done across multiple devices. So let's say you have an iPhone and an iPad. You can sync them both to the same mSecure running on your Mac. We also support multiple records being edited at the same time. So if we come in and edit on the desktop, John Doe, and change his birth date to 2012, and then later on our iPhone decide, well, I think it's 2010, then the next time we do the sync, since the iPhone was the last device changed, the desktop will be updated to show the 2010 date, and then the reverse is also true. If I come in and edit this record and change it to 2012, but then later decide, nope, 2011 was correct, so I change that on the desktop. Since the desktop was edited last, when I do a sync, the desktop's record is kept, and the phone is updated. So we use a time and date stamp on the devices and compare, and whichever has the newest date is the record that's kept. So mSecure's sync process is very flexible and can support any number of devices. Thanks for watching our sync tutorial. If you have any problems with this process, please feel free to contact us and ask us for assistance. We are always more than happy to assist our customers with any issues. Also, you can check out our other videos for information on how to perform other common tasks within mSecure. Thanks and have a great day.